First off, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mayor Poston, to give the proclamation for Arbor Day.
Thank you. By virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Bradenton, I do hereby issue this proclamation honoring National Arbor Day, April 28, 2017. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. The holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore it be resolved that I, Wayne H. Poston, as mayor of the city of Bradenton, Florida, do hereby proclaim April 28, 2017 as National Arbor Day, and urge all citizens to support the efforts and protect our trees and woodlands, and to support our city's urban forestry program by planting trees. By planting trees, we help promote the well-being of present and future generations, and we enhance our community. Wayne H. Poston, Mayor, City of Bradenton. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. And now we have from the Florida Forest Service, Senior Forester Eric Strickland.
Thanks, Tom. So, as he said, my name is Eric Strickland. I'm the Cooperative Forestry Assistance Forester for the district. I just want to say thank you to the City of Bradenton for once again doing the things that they need to do to become a Tree City USA again this year. And I know there's a lot of hard work behind doing these things. They have to maintain a tree board. They have to have a celebration every year, and they have to have a tree ordinance. And that, going along with that, they plant a tree each year in a park somewhere for everyone to enjoy for years to come. Today I want to talk about the trees. So we're having a tree giveaway, and a couple of types of pines that we're giving away are lonely pine and slash pine, and they're similar trees. So just to tell you a little bit about them, they're both native pines. Again, they look similar, but some ways to tell them apart are the lonely pine has longer needles, hence the name longleaf, but sometimes that's not the easiest way to tell them apart, because the slash pine also has some longer needles if it's on a good site. So the lonely pine's needles are a little bit longer most of the time. The needles are in bundles, so with your lonely pine, your needles will be in fascicles or bundles of 3 usually, where your slash pines, to tell the difference, they'll be in fascicles of 2, so there'll be 2 in a bundle most of the time. Sometimes there's some exceptions to that. Another way to tell them apart is if you can find a cone. The lonely pines have really big cones, really large, maybe not quite as large as I'm doing here, but very large cones. And so the slash pine, it'll have like a smaller cone, a little bit smaller, and it'll have a brown glossy coating on it. So sometimes if you can find a cone, that's a good way to tell them apart. And your slash pine, a lot of times you'll find them in a little wetter area than the longleaf. Longleaf can do better on a sandy or a little more well-drained site. So that's some ways to tell them apart. And we do have some seedlings to give away. If you can just see us after the event. Again, thanks to everyone that helped get this event together. On behalf of the Florida Forest Service, we appreciate every year these events get better, and we're always planting more trees. So it's just a wonderful thing. So we appreciate everyone so much. Thanks.
I'm just going to give a brief description of some more trees. The trees that were actually planted for Pat Gallo. Back over here to my right are the 3 Dahoon holly trees, which are a native holly to Florida here. They do well in this area of Florida. It's an evergreen, medium-sized tree with red fruit on it that the birds really like. So it has advantages of being evergreen, and it's a good wildlife tree for birds. Through the partnership of the community, we did some other plantings out on Manatee Avenue on the causeway out there with the help of SMR. They donated some trees. Woodruff and Sons actually did some work out there to actually help clear the area out there. And Manatee River Garden Club gave some money for the plantings, and the Florida Native Plant Society also gave money for some plantings. On the causeway, we planted trees, native trees, your Jamaican dogwood, which many people aren't familiar with, but it's a large pink flowering tree that gets very large. It's very, hummingbirds love it. We planted some pigeon plums, which is another native tree. It's related to the sea grape. We also planted sea grape trees. There's Jamaican caper out there, and ficus trees, and some more mangrove trees out there all along the east of the Perico Island Bridge out there. So those are some of the trees that the community helped pay for and install out there through the help of Keep Manatee Beautiful, Ingrid McLellan, to get it all organized and everything. But it's a community effort, and we're enhancing the drive out there on the causeway out there. So that's just some of the trees that we planted around here. Live oaks, we planted a few live oaks in here, large evergreen tree. Also, I think some southern red cedars in here also, which is another evergreen, more like a pine tree. So those are just a few of the trees, and that's where where it's going, the money's going. So right now I'd like to turn it over to the president of the Republican Women of Manatee County, Donna Moore.
Thank you for letting us share Arbor Day with all of you and remember Pat Gallo in that way. A year ago, we planted a tree out in the island, and Pat was one of the 4 of us that went out there to plant it. So this is a very fitting remembrance for Pat. On behalf of the members of the club, I'd like to say she was a wonderful member. She was cheerful. She was always smiling. And anytime I needed something done, I could go up to her. She is sorely missed, and we love her very, very much, and I know you all do too. One thing that I'm sure of, though, when she got up to heaven, I hope that Jesus didn't mind being called sugar. I'd like to introduce my Vice President, Marianne Barnebey.
Well, this is for Miss Pat and her family. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet. The birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gives to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. In the bulb there is a flower, in the seed an apple tree, in cocoons a hidden promise, butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and damp of winter there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. In our end is our beginning, in our time infinity, in our doubt there is believing, in our life eternity, in our death a resurrection, at the last a victory. Unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see.
Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Ingrid McClellan from Keep Manatee Beautiful on the dedication.
I am a member of the Tree and Land Preservation Board for the City of Bradenton, representing Keep Manatee Beautiful, and am honored to be part of coordinating the tree plantings that happen in the City of Bradenton. We do want to thank the Republican women of Manatee County for their donation of the Dahoon hollies for Pat. We want to thank Don Ide with the trophy case for the beautiful plaque that will be at the plantings, and it says, Pat Gallo, loving wife, mother, grandmother, 1943 to 2016. Not only did we do things here to beautify Lewis Park to remember Pat, but we did enhancements at a different park, Palmasola Causeway. That is a city park. And to thank those donors, I see Woodruff & Sons is here. Jerry, you want to raise your hand? They donated the grading and the shelling, straightening all the bollards and replacing rope that was missing to give it the look it had back in 2004 when it was all put in. We want to thank the Florida Native Plant Society for that grant, and that was through Tom Heitzman, a past president, the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program for their grant, the Eaton Fund from the Manatee River Garden Club. Carol Ponder, will you raise your hand? SMR Aggregates donated all the shell. After we graded, it had to be shelled to get onto the shoreline to launch your boat or kayak, and SMR Aggregates donated all of that shell. And the remaining that we couldn't fund, finding sources elsewhere for the trees, the Bradenton Tree Fund. So again, thank you to all the donors that made this possible.
And now, last but not least, Jim McLellan and Superintendent Ross Peterson for adjournment.
Well, we want to thank you all for coming today to honor Pat and Arbor Day. Glad the weather cooperated. And if you haven't been to this park before, it is a beautiful park, and it's only been beautified more today. So thank you again for everybody for coming, and happy Arbor Day.
All right, well, thank you all for coming.